Good morning, one and all, and welcome to this morning's video. So, I haven't made a video for a little while because I've had lots and lots going on in my personal life, but I'm going to try to make these videos where and when I can, which is not particularly easy at the moment, but I will do it when I can. So, we have four pairs on watch today, which are Pound Aussie, CAD Swiss, Kiwi Yen, and Euro Yen. On the higher time frames, we can see on the higher degree that at some point we may gravitate back towards this area here, just because in terms of this move to here, we have now retraced about 70-80% of that move. So it's likely that we will retrace it there to there at some point. But in the meantime, we could certainly capitalize on a move to the downside because we have this 1, 2, 3, which is tapped into and ever so slightly broken above here, meaning that we could get a move down to here to potentially take out this near miss to here before that longer term trend continues. And that would kind of make sense because then we would kind of have this structure. Okay, we shall see. We don't need to know what is going to happen next to make money. We just have to know how to manage risk. We just zoom in a little bit and we get that off of the chart. My mouse has been packing up a little bit for some reason this morning, so hopefully it doesn't do it again today. So we have a nice bearish weekly close there, bit of a wick below it, but this could be the start of a kind of evening star formation. If we zoom in, we do have an evening star formation on the daily. Okay, we've had this candle here with wick below it, but we've followed through and taken out that wick. Okay, so things looking pretty nice at the minute. With the correction there, impulse correction continuation. If we just zoom in a little bit, you can see one of the things that interests me, if we just switch to the line chart, okay, that lone wick there, you can see that the base of this structure, all the lows are kind of here, okay, and this looks like a bit of an anomaly wick. So if we assume that that is an anomaly wick, then that means that this high has narrowly missed this low here, which means that we may push up to take out that high and tap into the base of that, especially when we've fallen correctively, so like that. Okay, we haven't fallen impulsively. So what I'll be looking for, just trying to keep these videos shorter as well, shorter than I used to, is the following. I'm going to be looking for something like this. Obviously this may not be ready by the end of the day, but I'll be looking for a 3-touch structure such as that. There is the possibility of the kind of M style pattern that we look for, where we with the scoop up kind of V shape, where we tap into that and then drop. But typically speaking, we don't usually see a large amount of consolidation if price is going to do that. Okay, so at this moment in time, I'm just looking at this idea here. If we get something like this, I'll be looking for a risk entry from the top, and I will filter that on the 15-minute chart. We can see that this is still pretty much a 1-hour structure, so that would enable me to drop down to the 15-minute chart, and then I would be able to manage this down to the base of this consolidation here for something in the region of 6. I would personally hold this just because I think this has got a lot more room to go, and then I would set a take profit here at 90% of this range where price can pull back deeply, and I would trail my stop loss at the same time. So that is Pound Aussie. If we just save that and move on, so CAD Swiss, if we just zoom out on CAD Swiss, so on the higher degree, you can see that we have this kind of impulse correction potential continuation. Okay, we just zoom out to the monthly ever so slightly. We do have that wick there. That may be filled at some point, but we still, even on the weekly, we can see the impulse correction potential continuation. We have this bullish monthly candle here. These wicks often get filled, so that's another reason why we may be moving to the upside. We've had this 1, 2, 3 where we've pierced ever so slightly below and then retraced 50% of the length of the previous weekly candle. If we just zoom in, you can see that we also have a near miss here to this high here where there was a sharp sell-off. So when we get that near miss, this could be the indication that we may be getting something like that to give us that 1, 2, 3 to tap into there, okay? And then potentially we react from there, and who knows what will happen after that. But what you can see is that price is starting to move in sequence. We have the 1, the impulse correction continuation, another consolidation there. We kind of retest the back end of all of this, move to the upside, and now we seem to be forming a separate consolidation above this correction for a potential move to the upside. I would personally be looking to take profit here, just because that's kind of 50% of this overall range where price can pull back deeply. It's also where there was a lot of volume generated here, so it would make sense why we might stall in that area, even if we were going to continue to the upside. Okay, we just zoom in. You can see once again, as I was saying on the flip side with Pound Aussie, this low narrowly missed here, so we may be coming back to tap into that and retest the back end of that. So with all of this in mind, we have the two highs now. We're moving correctively. That's another indication that we may be moving to the upside from this area. So what I'll be looking for here is, this is where I would utilize the new 4-hour entry that we've been looking for within Falcon. I would look for a 4-hour entry here if we got there correctively. You can see we are getting there correctively. So I've set a Google Calendar reminder to remind me to check this, since my alert has just gone off on this pair. And then I'll be looking for either a 4-hour risk entry from here, if we tapped into this and ideally retested the back end of this, or I'll be looking for, if we don't get that price to push up, give us a minimum of a 5-minute consolidation, and then I would look to get long, and I would be able to manage this up to this high here. And as I said, my target would be here, up in the area, for something in the region of 6%. You could hold this, but I just think that with this much volume being built here, we would likely stall in that area for some time, even if we were going to continue going. So I'll be quite happy to take profit there. Okay, at 90% of the range. So that is CAD Swiss. Let's move on. Kiwi Yen. Just zoom out. So Kiwi Yen is a slightly strange sequence, but there is context to it. If we just zoom out, let me just check something a second. My mixer has been dipping in and out as well. It's been switching itself on and off for some reason, so a bit like my mouse. So some strange things happening here today, but the mixer still has its lights on, so that's still good. We have this, what according to my data is an all-time high. We near missed to that. What do? We usually fall correctively after a near miss. We tap into the area, pop ever so slightly above, and then we move to the downside aggressively. We have this sharp pullback here, but afterwards we just consolidated. So with the sharp pullback, I don't know what's going on there. Right, do that again. With the sharp pullback, and then price just consolidates. Okay, it doesn't make contextual sense for price to tap into an all-time high, to move down aggressively, and then just sharply push all the way up to the top again. So this gave me an impression that this was just profit taking in and around these lows, especially since if we just measure this, okay, we measure from this range here to the base, that is almost 90% of the range where we would anticipate a steeper pullback, okay? So I like the fact that we have this very bearish monthly close, okay? And I like the fact that we have a gap here to this low. So it looks logical to me that we would find our way down to this area and potentially down to these lows, to this low, that this low near missed too. Okay. We also have, if we just zoom in, so we had the impulse down, we followed through, we've consolidated underneath in this area, underneath all of this. We have the 1, 2, 3, which tapped into that area with a bit of a strange sequence to start with, but then we've had the follow through. Okay. And then if we just zoom into this structure here, as I say, not the nicest sequences, to be fair, but we have a high here, which this high near missed too. And how have we moved up? We've moved up correctively. Okay, we've not moved up impulsively. We've pushed down all the way down to here, near missed to this low. Okay, and then we have this kind of 1, 2, 3 up into that area. You can see we're near missing again. So what I'll be looking for today, we could push a bit higher, because one of the reasons I'm looking for a ever so slightly more weighted entry on this is because of the fact that if we just measure this, okay, if you discount this as being a volatility wick, then that would actually take us up into this area. And then if you actually look at the volume, okay, so if we take that as being the middle section, we don't normally just tap in like that and then move to the downside with this much volume being generated. So that's given me an indication that we may push a little bit higher, especially when we have this 1, 2, 3 potentially here before we do move to the downside, if we actually do move there. And the other clue for me is the fact that if we just zoom down a second, we also have this here. So we have this structure here. Okay, we kind of have that there. And then we have the little consolidation, which we often see, which is just after the completion of this. So after this high tapped all these highs, we left a little consolidation there. So we may be actually tapping into that, okay, because you can see there was a bit of an aggressive sell-off afterwards. So that might imply where the liquidity is, which would also add weight to the theory that we may break above. So because of all that, and because we have little consolidations all sat above each other, what I'll be looking for is the following. I'll be looking for a tap into this area here, a break above rather, the area of value, and then a push down, and then that should say, I don't know what, oh yeah, it depends. If we do tap into that area as well, and we've tapped into all of these, then I would be happy to take a 5-minute consolidation. But if we literally only just ever so slightly break above, and if we potentially near miss to here, then I'll make a judgment call as to whether I'm waiting for a 15-minute correction or not. Okay, that's why I've put the 5-minute continuation. So depending on whether we tap into that, but this is my area of value. That's what I'm interested in, because that's where we're near missing to. But depending on what we tap into of this volume to the left, I'll make a judgment call as to whether I can take a 5-minute or not. Okay. So if we tap into that and push below here, yes, I will take a 5-minute. If we actually only break above here, but let's say we near miss to that, then I'll be looking for a 15-minute. That's why I've put these entries on the way that I have. This was done at the weekend. So, and then this one, euro yen. If we just zoom in, and what just to say as well on the other one, Kiwi yen, I would take profit just because this is quite a large structure. I would be able to manage this down to here for something in the region of 5%, and then 90% of the range would be about here. So I would set a take profit there and trail my stop loss at the same time. That would be about 10% there potentially. And then we've got euro yen. So euro yen, we have what, according to my data, is an all-time high. We broke above. I do like the washout on this more than I do Kiwi yen, because we've significantly broken above. But the sequence is just a little bit strange, where we have all this, a little bit more strange, where we've pulled back here more than 50% of this range is sort of more in the region of 60-odd%. Okay, but I do like the fact that we have all these gaps here. Another one there. Okay, so I'm just seeing this as potentially, I said, this can do, because of the sequence, this could probably do a number of different things. Okay, but we have this correction here. If you look ever so slightly, we have a little, after this consolidation, we have a little wick there, which we tapped into. Okay, we've had a move to the downside. And what I'm seeing this as potentially is, because you've got this high here, and then you've got all of this here, and then you've got all of this consolidation here. I'm seeing this price is potentially coming up to tap into this, to retest the back end of this and the back end of all of this for a potential move to the downside, to take out all of these lows that keep near missing to each other. So what are we looking for? We have pulled back quite a significant distance. If we just measure this, we've kind of pulled back about 60%. So this is, if we start moving up into this area, I'm not going to be looking for the shorts. This is kind of on its last legs, as it were, in my book. So on this one, I will be looking for the 15-minute continuation, just because of all things considered. Okay, I'm not looking for 5 minutes up here. I'm looking for a tap into this area. You can see we've just near missed to it. So I'm going to reset the alert. So quite simply, just to tap into this area, a 15-minute push down, and then I would look to get short on the break. And then I'll be able to manage it down to this first low for something in the region of 5. And then I would actually target this low here, because it's a significant range once again, and I would target 90% of the range, set a take profit in that area, and trail my stop loss at the same time. So that is the 4 pairs that I'm going to be looking at today. We shall see what happens. And again, as I said, I'll try and bring you these videos a bit more regularly. I've had a lot going on. My partner has stage 4 cancer, and my dog has had cancer as well. We think that we're not sure if he's still got it or not, but that's another matter or not. I'm paying for certain things, certain treatments and stuff, out of my own pocket, which aren't available from your traditional vets, to try and get to the bottom of that and make sure that he remains cancer free. But a lot going on at the minute. But we show up regardless. The show must go on, as they say. So the show will go on. So have a great day, folks, and I'll see you again in the next video. Adios.